Hey everyone, so I originally filmed like over an hour of footage for this video, but then you couldn't hear my voice almost at all over the background noise of the cafe. So I'm just gonna record audio of me talking and telling you the gist of the whole situation rather than going through and cutting out the pieces that you can hear and then trying to fill in the details and subtitles. Like, that's just too much work. So I'm just gonna do the audio now. In advance, I apologize for, I don't know why I said it like that. I apologize, Yoda, I am. I apologize in advance for any background sounds that you hear, any dog sounds, any other stuff like that. I'm at home now, months after the surgery is over. Spoiler alert, Sikbbang does great in the surgery. He's wonderful. He healed extremely well, extremely fast, with very little effort on anybody's part. He was already being disrespectful after waking up from anesthesia that day. You'll see a video of him absolutely hating me for putting him in the carrier at the end of the video. He has more energy, more enthusiasm, more terrible attitude than he ever did before. He's his true disrespectful self now, and I'm very happy for him on that. His breath also immediately smelled better, which is crazy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the surgery. The day that he had this surgery, I took him in about 9:30 a.m. They took him back around 9:30 a.m. and then I was going to pick him up at 3. I think I mentioned that later in the video in the next clip, but whatever, I'm just going to say everything now. He's going in for a potential abscess of one of his teeth. Back when I first got him, it was Children's Day, so May 5th of 2020, what was it, 2023, 2024, 2024 maybe. No, I don't remember. It was like 2023, 2024. I'll put the correct date in the video. I'll have to check. But he was in a dog cafe in Busan, and the dog cafe was closing down suddenly, and they had like 10 days to get rid of like 14 dogs. And of course, the dog cafe owners didn't care at all about the well-being or the life of the dogs. So they were just saying, like, to someone in town who regularly visited to like check on the dogs and everything, because it was an abysmal set of conditions, and it was really bad. So people who care about dogs would go check on the dogs and everything and make sure they were okay and see if they could report the cafe to the police. But of course, you know, they never did and nothing ever got done about it. And then this particular location that they owned shut down. They had like eight or nine other locations of other dog cafes as well. So they were like serial offenders for this type of thing. So they would open a dog cafe, get some young, cute dogs, keep the cafe open until the dogs got old or sick or something, or until like the business died down, and then they would just like transfer that to another cafe. But every cafe had different dogs, and so like they would just have, it was just awful. There were so many dogs that got abused and treated so badly there. They weren't feeding the dogs full meals because they didn't want to put a limit on how many treats the guests could give the dogs, because they made money by selling the treat packets to the guests. They also had no training for the dogs. So there were dogs just like sitting on the tables. They were able to eat out of the food containers and the drink containers that the people had, because it was also a cafe, so you could order food and drinks that the workers made without washing their hands, without gloves, right after cleaning up pee and poop from the dogs. Because also, guess what? The dogs were not potty trained, nor were they taken outside, and nor did they have a designated potty area that they went. They were just followed around by a staff member who also cooks your food and makes your drink with a mop, and a dirty mop at that. It wasn't even like cleaned or washed. It was just a piss-soaked mop. It was really bad. It was terrible conditions. The floors were super slippery for these poor dogs. Most of them were old. I think Sikbbang was one of the younger ones, and he was 8 at the time. He also happens to be one of the healthiest ones. There were dogs that had visible tumors. There were dogs that were rotting from the inside out, but they were alive. There were dogs that had legs that were completely off of the joint, like they were hanging off the dog's body, without without external injury. There were dogs. There was one dog, the namesake, the dog that the cafe was named after, was bred by the owners of the cafe, by the way. So two other famous dogs from other famous, quote unquote, in their company, I guess. Dogs from the other cafes were bred to make this other dog that was an abomination of combinations of dog breeds. I don't remember which one it was. But his name was Doksu, and he had an open wound on him that they had apparently nicked him while they were grooming him. And they just didn't cover it or treat it or do anything about it. And there was just like grubby little kids touching him. Like, he was such a good dog. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he got adopted by someone. But they were having these dogs coming in, or these people coming in and saying like, oh, you shouldn't just put them outside. They can die. That's really dangerous. They were going to release these dogs into just like the middle of the city of Busan, which is not good. And none of these dogs are dogs that could like really handle being outside of someone's care. Like, there were Pomeranians, there were dogs that needed regular grooming sessions. There were dogs that were just like super old and injured and sick. None of them could really handle the environment they would be dumped into, if they were dumped. And the owners were like, okay, well, I guess we'll just like give them all to a kill shelter or something. We'll give them all to like a government shelter. And then someone's like, oh no, those are kill shelters. Don't put them there. They'll kill them. And the dog cafe was like, oh, okay, well, if you know anybody who wants them, they can come take them. We'll like give them out for free, like giving them out like adoptions or whatever. And then they were like, okay, cool. And then they posted on an animal rescue group online and that's when I happened to see the post about it. They were going to close the cafe, I believe, May 10th. And so they posted this like the week before. And I was like, dang, I see a corgi in there. And I know that corgis are very cute. He's a very cute one. And it looks like if he does get adopted by someone in Korea, they're going to get a corgi. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, maybe I'm a little bit like stuck up about this, but I know how shitty it is to have a corgi in your house. And I know how shitty it is to have that house be a house where your neighbors don't like the sound of you even walking. Corgis are fucking loud. They're loud, they're annoying, they have bad attitudes, they're a lot to manage, they are not a beginner dog, despite the fact that many people think they are because all the portrayals you see of them are cute and little fluffy babies on social media. They are not like that. They are awfully behaved. They are so bad, especially for apartments. I personally love corgis. I have a very strong connection with that breed. I just tend to get along very well with them. I tend to vibe very well with them. And I know that I personally can handle it without having to rehome him or abandon him or relinquish him. So I'm like, I will go down. And I only had one dog and I was looking to get a second. But the one dog I had, Buster, reacted aggressively outside of the home to every dog I had a potential of adopting. So of course I would fail the adoption applications every time because of his behavior. Sorry, I just choked. Even though he would be fine if I had brought the dog into the house first, Buster would have been okay. But if we meet outside of the house on neutral territory, Buster is not okay with it. But you can't really like bring a potential adoption dog to your house. They don't really let you do that for a trial meeting at the shelters in Korea. So makes sense. It would be a liability to do so. Many different types of liabilities too. So whatever. I was like, this might be my only chance to get a second dog. Little did I know I would have 5 fucking more not that long from then. God damn it. Jesus. But Sikbbang was the start of my like taking action in animal rescues. I ended up committing to taking Sikbbang. We tried to find someone to house him for a couple of days in Busan so I could get down there. Because it was a holiday and because it was so close to the holiday, all like the KTX like cross-country train tickets were booked. I could get to Busan, but I couldn't buy tickets out of Busan. And I didn't have the money to like stay at a hotel, especially a pet-friendly hotel and everything. I also had another dog at home that I couldn't leave alone for that long. And I had other obligations to attend to. And so I was just kind of stuck, and I was trying to find someone in Busan who could house him for a couple of days until the travel died down so I could order the tickets, right? And I ended up checking out of instinct one night like the day before, like May 4th, I checked in the morning because I got a text from a student, one of my former students, a teenager who wanted to come with me, and her parents said it was okay and everything. She ended up coming with me, and she was like, "Is it possible to get the tickets? Have you been able to get the tickets?" And I was like, "No, I can't get tickets back, but let me check." And there were 2 tickets available both ways, so 2 there, 2 back, and I immediately bought them. The student repaid me afterwards, but I was like, oh my God, in the nick of time, we got in there. And so then we started making preparations to go down to Busan and everything. We didn't have to bring a dog cage, thank God, because they gave us one to take the dogs home in. I ended up saving Sikbbang, and my student ended up saving a Cocker Spaniel that had a foster awaiting in Canada, or an adopter awaiting in Canada and a foster awaiting in Seoul. But the foster couldn't get to and from Busan on such short notice, so we delivered the dog to her that night. We got home like at 2 a.m. or something crazy. I'll see if I can remember to include the pictures of my favorite picture of Sikbbang ever, the one that I took the day, like the night that I got him. He never was an untrusting dog. He was always very comfortable with people, thank God. But he immediately bonded with me, and that was when I knew, like, he's mine. Because originally I was just going to go get this dog to make sure he doesn't get put outside or put into a kill shelter or taken by someone who would put him outside or put him in a kill shelter. But I didn't know if he would be a good match for Buster, and I didn't know if he would be a good match for my home, my schedule, my lifestyle, whatever. I didn't know how he would react to living in a home for the first time, and I also didn't even know him as a dog yet. We hadn't met. I was across the country from him. I had seen maybe 1.5 pictures of him, and I had heard nothing else about him or his behavior or anything. Um, I'm going to do a bigger video about his rescue at some point with like photos and videos and everything. I didn't get as many as I would like, but you know, I got some. But so I'm not going to go into full detail about the whole escapade today, but I want to give context. He was neglected so severely that more than half of his teeth had already naturally rotted out of his head in the 8 years that he was in the dog cafe. And this poor little baby, if you cut his nails or brush him or give him a bath or like take care of him in any kind of basic dog owner way, he's so overjoyed and excited that he gets extreme zoomies and can't control himself. He loves that you love him because he wasn't loved for the first third of his miserable life. I'm so sad. Every time I cut his nails, I just like tear up a little bit because I remember, like, he chews his nails because they never cut them for him. So he learned how to chew his nails down so they didn't hurt. He never got to go on walks or go outside. So he's happy to go outside, but he's also fine staying inside forever. Like in the winter when the weather's really bad and we can't go outside very much, he's content. The other dogs are restless, but he's content. But if we take him outside, he's just so happy. It's like a privilege to him. And it should be an absolute, like, bare minimum dog owner, like, task, right? To take your dogs outside. He immediately, like, helped potty train himself. He was a very good, easy dog from the beginning. He has an attitude, but he's a Corgi and a Dachshund mix. Turns out he's not a Corgi. He's a Dachshund mix with a Corgi, right? But the Koreans who owned the dog shelter didn't know anything about dogs, and so obviously, or dog cafe, not shelter. They didn't know anything about dogs, and I didn't care about dogs, so they just called him a Corgi because that's cuter than saying a Corgi mix. So it was a really sad situation. So his teeth were really bad from the get-go, and I knew that eventually I would have to get him a bunch of extractions and, like, scaling done. But eventually, like, it just got to the point where we couldn't wait anymore because of the potential abscess. And so we just bit the bullet and did it. My parents helped me a lot with it. I also maxed out my credit card. You know, it's something we're still paying off to this day. I have had to, like, months later even, I've had trouble buying groceries and household supplies, you know, because the credit card was what I would use if I didn't have any money available, and I would use a little bit at a time. But now I can't use that because it's been at $6,000 since the surgery. It was at like $4,000 or something, and then we did the surgery, and then it cost a bunch. So Because the surgery was like 1.7 million Korean won, but then it had like extra expenses because he had 4 other teeth extracted, which cost extra because it wasn't in the plan. I told the dog dentist, I guess, the surgeon to like take out anything that needs to be taken out, even if it's like could cause him a problem in the future. Just get it out of there. He is fine eating water soaked or wet food. So, like, he doesn't need teeth at this point. He's okay. He's lived without most of his teeth for so much of his life. He's comfortable with it. He's fine. He's a happy dog. He's fine. And so they took out everything, and I was like, let's just get it one and done. I don't want to pay for everything again. Let's just do this all now. And so they did. He's only got healthy teeth left, which is great. He did have some healthy teeth left, but like 5, maybe. Like, not many at all. I'll have to count one day and see how many he has. And so since then, he seemed much happier. He seems less grumpy. He seems a lot more energetic. He's a lot more playful and cuddly. He's so sweet. He still has enough teeth left to sharpen his claws via chewing. So that's fun. He still eats hard kibble because he's got enough teeth left for that, enough like molars left for that. Most of the teeth that came out or had to get extracted were in the front part of his mouth, so he has a little bit gummy, but he has like several of his molars are left and he can still eat the food just fine. He's currently laying on my sofa looking at me, mad that I'm not playing with him. I'll play with him in a moment. I'm gonna get to the next part of the video that will actually be footage from the day of. I also want to see if I can salvage the footage from the cafe of me finding out that Sikbbang did well in his surgery, because I did catch that moment when the vet texted me the update on camera. It was really sweet. It was like a great moment. And I was glad I caught it on camera, and I'm going to see if I can salvage that with the audio and everything. If I can, it'll be after the video that's coming up next. So it'll be the third part of this video. All right, thank you for listening to this. Have fun with the rest of the video. Stay tuned for a video of grumpy anesthesia Sikbbang at the end. Oh, good boy. Bye, Sikbbang. Bye, baby. It's currently 9:45 a.m. and I'm going to go pick him up at 3 after everything is done and he's gotten his IVs and everything. The surgery that I'm getting for him is kind of a combination of dental work. The biggest reason I'm getting it now and not putting it off even longer than I already was, due to money, is because he potentially has an abscess on one of his molars, which is pretty bad. And the vet gave him some antibiotics to take while we waited for his surgery date to come, and the lump got smaller. So it's very likely an abscess. So I dropped Sikbbang off at the vet. He passed his blood work, his like anesthesia testing blood work with flying colors. He got great results on his x-rays, his pre-surgery x-rays I do, just for checking and everything to make sure everything's good. He has almost no health issues, which is insane. He likely has some allergy issues, which we already knew that. He's definitely got some tooth issues, which we already knew that, and we're fixing that. And there's a little bit of tracheal collapse, like when you're, but that's because he's old. So the doctor said even like for his breed, which is a Corgi Dachshund mix, he's got less tracheal collapse than dogs of his age in that breed usually do. So he even said like he's remarkably healthy, which, given where he came from, the dog, not the vet, given where the dog came from, that's insane. I'm gonna try to sit down at a cafe and eat some breakfast, and then like quietly talk to you guys about what the deal is with Sikbbang. I did just get a text from the vet. Let me try and prove it. Perfect. Okay, so real-time update from the vet. He said that Sikbbang finished the surgery well. He's doing great. He had 4 extra teeth extracted, so that's going to cost me some, but I don't know what the price will be, depending. And okay. They said he's handling everything well, he's doing great, so that's really good. They also sent a picture, so I'll include that if it's not gory or gross or anything. I don't know if they sent a picture of the extraction area or if they just sent like a picture of him in general. I'll put that in there, so that's good, thank God. He's doing well. The danger zone is out. He's out of the danger zone now, so that's good. Thank God. Oh my God. Anxiety is like going down. Thank God. Okay. Jesus. Oh, that's good news. Okay. Why are you so mad? Why? Oh my God. Oh my goodness. You're fine. You look so angry. You're fine. Goodness gracious.